I'm 81 years old, and I need to tell you something that might upset you. For 54 years of my life, I believed that hard work was the answer to everything, that if I just pushed a little harder, stayed a little later, sacrificed a little more, happiness would eventually find me. I was wrong about everything. 3 years ago, something happened that shattered every belief I ever held. Something that made me realize I had wasted more than half a century chasing shadows. And now, at 81, I'm sitting here with a truth burning inside me that I can't keep quiet anymore. You need to hear this, not because I want sympathy, not because I'm looking for forgiveness, but because I see you out there living the same lie I lived, making the same mistakes I made, and it breaks my heart. I spent 54 years convinced that tomorrow would always be there, that the people I loved would wait, that life would pause for me while I finished just one more project, attended just one more meeting, chased just one more promotion. Life doesn't pause. People don't wait. And tomorrow? Tomorrow is the biggest lie we tell ourselves. My name doesn't matter. My career doesn't matter. What matters is what I'm about to tell you. What matters is that you're here, right now, reading this. Which means there's still time for you. There wasn't enough time for me. I thought I had all the time in the world. I thought I was building something. I thought the sacrifices were worth it. And then one ordinary Tuesday morning, the woman I loved for 52 years took her last breath. And I wasn't there. I wasn't there because I was at work. At 81 years old, with a dying wife at home, I was at work. That's the kind of fool I was. That's the kind of fool I'm begging you not to become. Her name was Margaret. We met in 1969. I was 24. She was 22. She had this laugh that could fill a room. This way of looking at you that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. We were married for 52 years, and I wasted almost all of them. 3 years ago, Margaret was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her 6 months. She got 4. And in those 4 months, I learned more about love, more about life, more about what actually matters than I had in the previous 78 years combined. But I learned it too late. That Tuesday morning, I remember it like it happened yesterday. Margaret had been declining for weeks. She was sleeping more, eating less. The hospice nurse had gently suggested I might want to stay close. But there was a meeting. There's always a meeting. I was 78 years old, supposedly retired, but still consulting for the company I'd given my life to. Still answering emails at midnight. Still believing, after everything, that I was indispensable. I wasn't. Nobody is. I kissed Margaret on the forehead that morning. She was asleep, or I thought she was asleep. Looking back, I think she was already starting to leave. Her breathing was different, slower. Something in her face had changed, but I had a meeting. I told myself I'd be back by lunch. I told myself she'd want me to keep living my life. I told myself all the lies we tell ourselves when we're too afraid to face the truth. The truth was, I was terrified of watching her die, terrified of being useless, terrified of sitting in that quiet room with nothing to do but feel. So I ran. I ran to the only place I knew how to exist. I ran to work. The call came at 11:42. I remember looking at my phone. I remember seeing our daughter's name. I remember this cold feeling spreading through my chest before I even answered. Dad, you need to come home. Mom's gone. Gone. One word, 4 letters, and my entire world collapsed. I drove home in a fog. I don't remember the drive. I don't remember parking. I just remember walking through our front door and seeing her, still in our bed, looking peaceful, looking like she was just sleeping. But she wasn't sleeping, and she had died alone. Our daughter Sarah was there. She had come by to check on Margaret, found her unresponsive, called the hospice nurse, called me. But by then, it was over. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The woman I loved for 52 years, the woman who gave me 3 children, the woman who stood by me through every late night, every missed dinner, every broken promise. She died alone because I chose a meeting over her. I collapsed. Right there in our bedroom, I collapsed to my knees and I wept. Not dignified tears, not quiet grief. I wept like a child. I wept for Margaret. I wept for all the years I'd wasted. I wept for every later that had now become never. And in that moment, kneeling beside her body, I understood something with perfect, terrible clarity. I had spent my entire life climbing a ladder, and it was leaning against the wrong wall. All those years, all those sacrifices, all those just one more promises. For what? For an empty house, for a wife who died without me, for children who had learned not to expect anything from their father. That's when it hit me. The question that would haunt me for the rest of my days. What had I actually been living for? Let me tell you how I got here. Let me tell you about the 54 years I threw away. When I was 27, I got my first real promotion. Junior partner at an accounting firm. Good salary, good benefits, good future. I told Margaret, once I'm established, we'll travel, we'll see the world. I just need a few years to build something first. So I waited. At 35, I became a senior partner, more money, more responsibility, more hours. Margaret wanted to go to Ireland. Her grandmother was from Cork. She'd always dreamed of seeing where her family came from. Next year, I said. Things are too crazy right now, but next year, I promise. So we waited. At 42, I was running my own department. Our kids were growing up fast. Sarah was in middle school. The boys were in elementary school. They had soccer games, piano recitals, school plays. I missed most of them. I told myself I was doing it for them, providing for them, building a secure future for them. I told myself that when they were older, they'd understand, they'd appreciate the sacrifices. They didn't. At 50, I was a managing partner, corner office, company car, 6-figure bonus. I had everything I thought I wanted, and I had nothing that actually mattered. Margaret and I barely talked anymore. Not really talked. We exchanged information, schedules, logistics. But the deep conversations, the late-night dreams, the laughter, those had faded years ago. I told myself, when I retire, we'll reconnect, we'll fall in love again. We have time. So I waited. At 55, I started having chest pains. The doctor said it was stress. He told me to slow down. I nodded, said I would, and went right back to work. At 60, I had a minor heart attack. Nothing too serious, they said, just a warning. A wake-up call. I was in the hospital for 3 days. And do you know what I did? I answered emails from my hospital bed. Margaret sat in the chair beside me watching. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The disappointment in her eyes said everything. But did I change? No. I told myself, after this next deal closes, after this next milestone, after, there's always an after, until there isn't. At 65, I officially retired for about 6 months. Then a former colleague asked me to consult. Just a few hours a week, he said. We really need your expertise. A few hours became 20, then 30. Then I was working more in retirement than I had when I was employed. And Margaret had stopped asking. She'd stopped asking me to come to dinner parties, stopped asking me to go on trips, stopped asking me to be present. She had built a life without me, book clubs, garden groups, friends I'd never met. She was happy, but she was happy despite me, not because of me. I had the career, I had the reputation, I had the respect of my colleagues, but I didn't have my wife. I didn't have my children. I didn't have a single memory that wasn't tinged with regret. And now, at 81, I look back at those years and I want to scream at my younger self. I want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him and say, "What are you doing? What are you building? And who's going to be there when it's all over?" Nobody. The answer is nobody. Let me tell you the biggest lie you're probably telling yourself right now. I have time. I'll do that later. When things calm down, I'll focus on what matters. Let me save you 54 years of regret with one simple truth. That day never comes. Things never calm down. The goalposts keep moving. There's always another reason to wait, another obligation to fulfill, another excuse to postpone living your actual life. I had time until I didn't. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young. Success is a terrible goal, and I say this as someone who achieved everything I set out to achieve. The corner office, the respect of my peers, the financial security, the legacy. And you know what? None of it mattered. Not one single bit of it mattered when I was kneeling beside my wife's body, realizing I had chosen spreadsheets over her smile, meetings over her presence, my career over her life. Is that success? Is that what you're working toward? Because let me tell you something. When you're 81 years old, alone in a house full of memories you weren't present for, success feels like the biggest joke ever told. I had a colleague named Richard. We started at the firm together back in 1972. Same ambitions, same drive, same belief that work was everything. Richard died last year. At his funeral, his son gave the eulogy. And do you know what he said? My father was a successful man, but I barely knew him. That's it. That's the summary of a life. Decades of achievement reduced to, I barely knew him. I sat in that church listening to those words, and I thought, that could be my eulogy. That could be what my children say about me. Is that the legacy you want? Is that what you want carved on your tombstone? He worked hard. His family barely knew him. Let me ask you something. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived so far? Not, would people be impressed by your resume? Not, did you achieve enough? Just, would you be satisfied? Would you feel like you had loved deeply enough, laughed enough, lived enough? Or would you feel like I feel right now, like you spent your whole life rehearsing for a show that never actually happened? The show is now. This is it. This messy, imperfect, heartbreaking, beautiful now. And you're missing it. You're missing it because you think there's a later where everything will be better, where you'll have more time, where the conditions will finally be right. There is no later. There is only now. And now is slipping through your fingers while you read this. You know what keeps me up at night? Not the big failures, not the deals that fell through or the promotions I didn't get. Those fade, those don't matter. What keeps me up are the small things, the ordinary moments I threw away because I thought there would always be more. There won't always be more. Let me tell you what I regret. I regret the trip to Ireland we never took. Margaret talked about it for 30 years. Cork, where her grandmother was born. The cliffs of Moher. The little pubs with live music. She had brochures, she had itineraries, she had dreams. We never went. I was always too busy. There was always something more pressing. And now Margaret is gone, and Ireland is still there, and I can't bring myself to go without her. I regret my son Michael's wedding. He got married in 2003. Beautiful ceremony, outdoor venue. His bride was radiant, and he looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. The way I used to look at Margaret. I gave a toast, a short one. I had to leave early because I had a conference call with Tokyo. The time difference, you understand, couldn't be helped. It could have been helped. I just didn't try. Michael and I don't talk much anymore, once a year maybe. Christmas cards, the occasional text. He's 53 now, a grandfather himself. And I've missed his whole life. I regret the book I never wrote. When I was young, before the firm, before the ladder, I wanted to be a writer. I had stories in my head, whole worlds. I filled notebooks with ideas, with characters, with dreams. Margaret found those notebooks after I retired the first time. She brought them to me with tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. I didn't have an answer. I still don't. Those notebooks are in a box in my closet now. I can't bring myself to open them. They're a graveyard of the person I might have been. I regret the Sunday dinners I skipped. For years, Margaret hosted Sunday dinner every week. Our kids, their spouses, eventually the grandchildren. Pot roast and mashed potatoes and laughter and connection. I was there for maybe half of them. The other half, working, preparing for Monday. too tired from the week to engage. Now those dinners don't happen anymore. The kids have their own lives, their own traditions, traditions that don't include me. I regret not telling my father I loved him. He died in 1989, heart attack, sudden. He was 67, I was 44, and I realized, standing at his grave, that I had never once told him I loved him. Not once. We didn't say those things in my family. We showed love through work, through providing, through silence. What a waste. What a terrible, unforgivable waste. I regret not dancing with Margaret at our 50th anniversary party. Our kids threw us a beautiful celebration, 50 years of marriage. All our friends were there. There was music, there was cake, there was a dance floor. Margaret wanted to dance. I said my knees were bothering me. I said I'd look foolish. I said we could dance later at home, just the two of us. We never danced. She died 2 years after that party, and we never danced. These are the things that haunt me. Not the deals, not the achievements, not the corner office. The dance we never had, the words I never said, the moments I traded for nothing. After Margaret died, something broke inside me, or maybe something finally woke up. For the first few months, I was lost, completely, utterly lost. The house was so quiet. Her absence was everywhere, her reading glasses on the nightstand, her garden gloves by the back door, her smell still lingering on her pillow. I thought about giving up. I'm not proud of that, but it's the truth. At 78 years old, with my wife gone and my children distant, I didn't see the point anymore. But then something happened. I found a letter. Margaret had written it years ago, during one of my hospital stays. She'd never given it to me. Maybe she was waiting for the right moment. Maybe she knew I wouldn't hear it until I was ready. The letter said this: "My darling, I have loved you for 50 years, not the man you became at work, not the man with the titles and the achievements. I love the man who made me laugh in 1969, the man who dreamed of writing books, the man who danced with me in our tiny apartment before we had anything but each other. That man is still in there. I've been waiting for him to come back. I'll wait as long as it takes." She waited her whole life, and he never came back, until now. That letter destroyed me, and then it rebuilt me. I made a decision. I was 78 years old. My wife was dead. My children were strangers. I had maybe 5 years left, maybe 10, maybe less, and I decided it wasn't too late. I stopped consulting, completely, turned off the emails, declined every call. The company survived without me. Of course they did. They always do. I started going to my grandchildren's events, soccer games, dance recitals, school plays. I sat in the front row. I cheered too loud. I didn't care if I looked foolish. I called my kids, not for updates, not for logistics, just to talk, just to say, "I'm thinking about you. I love you." It was awkward at first. They didn't know what to do with this version of their father, the version who asked about their lives, the version who listened. But slowly, very slowly, things started to change. I enrolled in a writing class at the community college. 78 years old, sitting in a room with people young enough to be my grandchildren. They looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. But I wrote my first short story in 50 years. It wasn't good, it wasn't publishable, but I wrote it. And when I finished, I cried. I'm 81 now. I've been living for myself for 3 years. 3 years out of 81. And these have been the best 3 years of my life. I'm happier now, with less time ahead, than I was at 40, when I thought I had all the time in the world. Isn't that the saddest thing you've ever heard? So now I'm talking to you. Yes, you. The one who's reading this and thinking, that won't happen to me. The one who's telling yourself, I'll slow down eventually. I'll prioritize what matters when I have more time. Listen to me. I was you. I was exactly you. Smart enough to understand the theory, but too arrogant to apply it. aware enough to see the trap but too comfortable to escape it. And now I'm 81 years old, my wife is dead, my children are strangers, and I'm spending my final years trying to repair damage that didn't need to happen. Don't be me, please, I'm begging you, don't be me. I know what you're thinking, but my situation is different. I have responsibilities. I can't just stop working. What about my family, my mortgage, my obligations? Let me tell you something, I thought the same things. Every single person who ended up where I am thought the same things. We all had reasons. We all had justifications. We all had elaborate explanations for why we couldn't possibly live any other way. And we were all wrong. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to abandon your responsibilities. You don't have to become a monk on a mountain. You just have to wake up. You just have to realize that the life you're postponing is the only life you have. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you called your parents just to talk? Not for advice, not for help, just to hear their voices, just to tell them you love them. When was the last time you put down your phone during dinner and actually looked at the people across from you? When was the last time you did something, anything, just because it made you happy without calculating its value or productivity? Don't you see? The tragedy isn't that we die. The tragedy is that we wait to live. You think you have unlimited time with the people you love. You don't. You think there will always be another Sunday dinner, another birthday party, another chance to say what you've been meaning to say. There won't. One day, and you won't know it's coming, one day will be the last conversation, the last laugh, the last I love you, and you won't know it was the last until it's over. That's what happened with Margaret. That Tuesday morning, when I kissed her forehead and walked out the door, I didn't know it was goodbye. I didn't know I would never hear her voice again. I didn't know that meeting I was rushing to would be the reason I missed her final moments. If I had known, would I have stayed? Of course I would have stayed. But that's the cruel trick life plays on us. We don't know. We never know which moment will be the last. So we treat every moment like it's disposable, until it isn't. You're running out of time. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because it's true. Every day, every hour, every minute, time is slipping away, and you're spending it on things that don't matter. The job that will replace you within a week of your death, the achievements nobody will remember, the money you can't take with you. Meanwhile, the people who love you are waiting. They're waiting for you to show up, to be present, to choose them over the endless demands of a world that will never stop demanding. What are you going to do? Keep waiting? Keep telling yourself someday? Or are you going to wake up right now and start living the life you've been postponing? The choice is yours, but choose quickly. Time doesn't wait for anyone. If I could go back and talk to my 27-year-old self, here's what I would say. Stop. Stop trying to impress people who don't matter. Stop sacrificing your health for your career. Stop putting off joy until someday. Stop waiting for permission to live. Stop answering emails at dinner. Stop skipping vacations to prove your dedication. Stop believing that your worth comes from your productivity. Stop treating the people you love like they'll always be there. They won't. Start calling your parents more often, not when you need something, not on holidays, just because. Start taking the trips you dream about, now, not when you retire, not when things calm down, now. Start saying no to obligations that drain you. Your time is not infinite. Guard it like the precious resource it is. Start telling people you love them, out loud, often, even when it feels awkward. Start doing the things that scare you, the book you want to write, the business you want to start, the person you want to become. Start now, not Monday, not next month, not when you're ready, now. If you want to change careers, change. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is a myth invented by fear. Do it scared, do it uncertain, but do it. If you want to repair a relationship, call. Don't wait until the funeral. Don't wait until the diagnosis. Don't wait until I'm sorry is the only thing left to say. Call now, today, this hour. If you want to be more present with your family, put down the phone, not later, now. Close the apps, turn off notifications, look into their eyes, actually see them. If you want to take care of your health, start. The gym membership you've been postponing, the doctor's appointment you've been avoiding, the habits you know you need to change. Do it now. Your future self is begging you. Here's what I need you to understand. No one is going to give you permission to live. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, now it's your turn to be happy. You have to give yourself permission. You have to decide that your life, not your job, not your obligations, not other people's expectations, but your life is worth living now. The permission is granted. I'm granting it to you right now. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to deserve it. It's yours. Take it. Go live. I'm 81 now. I've been living intentionally for 3 years. 3 years out of 81. 3 years of saying yes to what matters. 3 years of saying no to what doesn't. 3 years of showing up for the people I love. It's not enough time. It will never be enough time, but it's something. Last month, my son Michael came to visit. He stayed for a whole weekend. We talked, really talked, for the first time in decades. He told me about his fears, his dreams, his regrets. He has regrets too. We all do. But he still has time to fix them. That's what I told him. You're only 53. You have time I don't have. Don't waste it like I did. He cried. I cried. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had my son back. I would give anything to have those 54 years back. To have started living at 27 instead of 78. To have danced with Margaret when I had the chance. To have told my father I loved him before he died. But I can't go back. Nobody can. All I can do is tell you what I learned. All I can do is hope that you hear me. That you really hear me. Not just nod and forget, but actually change something. One thing. Change one thing today. The irony isn't lost on me. I spent my whole life believing I didn't have time for the things that mattered. No time for vacations, no time for conversations, no time for dancing. Now I understand. When you realize time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop postponing joy. You stop saving experiences for later. You start living now. I don't know how much time I have left. Could be 10 years, could be 10 months, could be 10 days. But however long it is, I'm going to live it, really live it. I owe that to Margaret. I owe it to myself. And you owe it to yourself, too. You have a choice right now, today. Keep living the way you're living. Keep chasing achievements that won't matter. Keep putting off happiness. Keep telling yourself you'll make time later. Or wake up. Realize that time is running out faster than you think. Realize that the life you're waiting to live needs to start now. Realize that someday is just another word for never. The people you love are waiting. The life you want is waiting. The person you were meant to be is waiting. What are you waiting for? I'm 81 years old. I spent 54 years learning what I'm telling you in 20 minutes. Don't take 54 years. Learn it now, today, this moment. Your younger self is depending on you. Your older self will thank you. And somewhere, my Margaret is watching, hoping that her story, our story, will save someone else from the regret that consumed us. Someday is today. It always has been. Now go live. If this resonated with you, I hope you'll share it. Not for me. I don't need anything anymore. But for every person out there who's living the life I lived, who's making the mistakes I made, who still has time to change. Subscribe, because I have more truths to share. And honestly, I don't know how much time I have left to share them. Leave a comment. Tell me what you're going to do differently. Tell me about the person you're going to call, the trip you're going to take, the words you're finally going to say. I read every single comment. Your stories give me hope. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Your time is precious, more precious than you know. Don't waste another minute.